We have to wait for few industry. Hmm? Well, we have to wait for few. We can wait for 2 or 3 minutes more for persons from the industry. Hmm.
Good morning, BVK.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. Good morning to everyone.
Yeah.
मुझे उनको राधेश्याम दीक्षित को पाना था, उनको बताइए पूछे आप कहाँ पहुँचे राधेश्याम दीक्षित, उसकी वजह से तो मीटिंग हो गई। Good morning, friends. I welcome all of you who have come here to participate at this important meeting in the physical mode, as well as those who have joined us on Zoom. This meeting has been specially convened to consider, the fallback of recently concluded GST Council meeting, in which the council has advised the imposition of 5% GST on dahi, that is curd, lassi, buttermilk, and paneer. Prepackaged products which are usually purchased on wholesale basis also will, receive this 5% GST before they are ready for sale. The GST Council has also imposed a higher rate of GST on milking machines and also other dairy machinery. Earlier it was 12%. Now they will be charging the machineries and also the milking machines at 18% GST. Solar water heaters, which we have been trying to, promote, also will be raised from 5% to 12% GST. Tetra Pak, which has been in great use in India, where milk is not being produced, will also attract a GST of 18%. Effluent treatment plant also will attract a GST of 18%, whether they are in the industry, dairy industry, or elsewhere. In the warehouse, fumigation, of course, has been exempted. They will continue to, but they want to rationalize the fumigation part perhaps in future. There are many other, changes which have been suggested by the GST Council at its meeting held in the last week of last month. Indian Dairy Association has also been writing to GST Council. We in fact have submitted many representation seeking reduction of GST on butter and ghee. We were expecting that in this meeting, GST Council will provide some respite on reduction of GST on butter and ghee from 12 to 5%. However, this has not received any consideration from the GST Council. So to consider all these issues and the impact of the increase in the GST rate on highly nutritious food items like buttermilk, lassi, dahi, and paneer, how will it influence the costing at the part of the dairy industry, and how it is going to impact the consumers is a matter of serious consideration. So we thought that we will discuss this problem and invite your suggestions as to how we should take it forward. To start with, I will request Mr. Kuldeep Sharma, who is the proprietor, owner of Suruchi Consultants, and every fortnight he writes good blogs to address the issue. Mr. Kuldeep Sharma.
Thank you, sir. I think I won't be taking much of time. You have covered most of the things. It's a serious concern for the industry. And I have been contacted by many key players from the industry talking about the same issue. So we better thought that why we should not come at a common platform. And under the aegis of Indian Dairy Association, we can make a common representation to the government. Because whatever has happened in this 47th GST Council, it is just a reversal of what we were thinking of. Like we were thinking of that there would be reversal of GST on butter and ghee, and it would come down from 12% to 5%, which has been I would say, a long requested kind of thing with the council, and representation has been made by practically all the associations in the country. But on the contrary, this time we have found that on products which have got the maximum, which ensures the maximum nutritional security for masses, apart from milk as such, we found that in curd, in buttermilk, the GST imposition, and that too at today's time. So I think it's a serious issue, and probably all of us must be resonating with what I'm saying. So as key stakeholder, I would request, one by one, if suppose we can capture your perspective on this, which could become part of our recommendation to the government. So maybe somebody may steer up, the members who are there on the Zoom, and it can be requested to them to share their point of view. Yeah, so maybe starting with the people who are here later. Okay, so first let us cover the members who are there on online available with us. So sir, I can see head office GCMMF also. Sodhi sir there? Is Sodhi sir there?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everybody. And we thank you, Dr. Rajoria and IDEA team for taking this initiative well in time, calling this meeting to take the views from all the stakeholders on this unexpected and unheard action of GST committee to apply 5% GST on curd, lassi and buttermilk. Actually, I've been discussing with my CFO, Shri Atul Agarwal. Actually, if you see entry in 401 is basically exempted goods. So they have given the fresh milk, pastured milk, including separate milk, etc., excluding ultra high temperature milk. So in 401, they have mentioned all parts of type of milk, excluding UST, and UST 5% GST is there. So if really government of India wants to put GST on curd, lassi, buttermilk, the similar entry what is mentioned in the milk should be entered, that excluding UST. They can say curd, lassi, buttermilk exempted, excluding UST, which is packed. Because pouch, etc., whatever is there is not, I guess a type, it's not a packing, it's just to keep the hygiene instead of loose, people are selling it. Second is this 5% is going to be too much, because if you see in all these product categories, from milk to consumer price, total spread is only 15 to 16%. In that you add 5% means you are adding the cost, 33% increasing in cost because of tax. So 5% directly increase in MRP. अगर आप 70 रुपए में बेचते हो तो आपको 3.5 रुपए MRP बढ़ाना पड़ेगा. अगर आप 30 रुपए लीटर छाछ बेचते हो तो आपको सीधा ही 1.5 से 2 रुपए बढ़ाना पड़ेगा. So I will IDEA should also write. We are also going to write to the concerned ministries so that they should not go for this, because curd, lassi, buttermilk is like a milk type of milk only. Nothing is added. It's a milk in fermented form. I mean, not anything is added, especially in curd, besides the culture. So if we can convince, I think that will be good. And still the notification has not come. So it is just the recommendation. That's why we can say that when you are writing curd, lassi, buttermilk, excluding UST should be mentioned, like in case of milk entry has been made. Similarly, for dairy machinery from 5 to 18, especially for milking. I think that
12 to 18.
12 to 18 milking machine. Already 12 is more and then 18, I don't know why, what they thought of, why they are doing it. So we should resist and we should write to them. And we are with all the members and IDA, along with you also will be taking up the matter. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any comment on UHT packaging GST moving from 12% to 18% on the paper carton?
Will be 12 to 18, but only thing is the impact may not be much on us, especially if you are packing GST final product, because 5% GST is there on Tetra Pak milk, so that much set off we can get.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Okay. May I ask, I could see Mr. Satish Reddy over here. Or, yes, please. Sir, all the names are not. I think let's open it to everyone. So because we have very limited access to, we can look at very few names over here. So anybody who is interested may please share your insights, or maybe we can take it up as a round of introduction where you simply introduce yourself, whosoever is, yeah, that will be too long. So maybe whosoever is interested may share their point of view.
Yeah, good morning. I'm Dr. Parekh here. What Dr. Rajoria and Sodhi Sahab has mentioned is perfectly all right. We should protest in a big way to the GST Council or who are others stakeholders in the Ministry of Finance or Home Affairs, because this is too much for the buttermilk, and this is a common man's drink. Basically we call it a Kutch beer in Maharashtra and Gujarat, and it is everybody's requirement. Now, why they are putting, and again, Sodhi Sahab has mentioned the part of only the milk also. So I strongly tell that we should consider and write strongly that now it is still on a recommendation stage, so it has not become a sort of implementation, even though they have mentioned it will be immediately effective. So I would strongly suggest that even though in milking machine, we are talking about clean milk production, increasing the shelf life of pasteurized milk. Now, if you don't use this type of devices, how will you improve the quality of the milk? We are at the bottom of the quality of the milk in the world. And this milking machine can certainly improve the quality of the milk compared to the hand milking, or where there is a commercial dairy farms. So these are some of the things which has to be immediately damaging the quality of the milk, and also there will be rise on the price of the milk as well as the inflation. So these are the basic needs of the lassi, buttermilk, chash. Other things has to be taken properly and should not be any GST on this. I'm only appreciating about the unpacked paneer has been put in the GST of 5%, because this will help us to have a more other sector will become more organized sector, because it will come into the FSSI Act also. So this will be a little bit welcoming decision, I think. Unpacked paneer is also at par with the packed paneer, which is attracting 5% GST. So otherwise, this is not good for dairy industry, and we should immediately strongly write to the concerned department and do the needful to withdraw on this. Actually, as you mentioned that we are trying to reduce the GST on ghee or butter or flavored milk, other things. But this is a completely reverse cycle. It's very surprising for me. This is my input. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, are you hearing?
Yes.
Sir,
Yes,
this is a totally an objectionable one, because GST is meant for only certain items which are having impact on the society, whereas the milk and milk product is a basic requirement for nutritional building. So we should totally object for giving this giving the GST now. Number two also, what are the money fund is being collected through GST, it is not being given back to the dairy industry as a whole. These are the two main points which I am submitting to you so that we can write a letter to the government. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Kuldeep ji, can I come in?
Yes, please. Yes, please, sir.
Good morning. My name is Kedarnath Chaudhary, CFO for this Talabs and Mumak. Thank you everyone for arranging this. Again, my perspective is today this inflation in the economy by imposing GST on the curd and milk products, or it will increase the inflation. Today, all of us, every household, we are consuming the curd. That's very important factor in our daily life. For protein point of view, strongly industry should object. There should not be any GST. It should be zero rated product on the curd, buttermilk itself. What's going to happen is if there's a GST levy on the curd, people should not move from making milk to curd at home itself. Then it's negative for the industry itself. That's the basic phenomenon. Second thing also, today, let's say 5% GST, government can claim and say that there's an input credit available. Input credit is a very small component to the extent of SMP and let's say packing material. So that's also very small component. Effectively, of 3.5 to 4% cost will go up. It need to go to consumer. That's a negative thing from the government point of view. Is touching the every household. Let's say out of 130 million people, let's say almost 80-90% people they buy cord from the industry itself. Okay, that's important. Then it should not touch the farmer. Industry cannot take the extra burden. If you do not pass it to the customer, you have to touch the farmers. That's the negative thing. That's the way you should position it, and strongly convince the government. Government will look at, maybe we need to have a good lobby for that. That's my perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Good morning. I'm AK Jain. I'm ex-managing director, REIL. See, we have come across a similar issue when there was reforms on the excise duty on various instruments. And we have come across a situation where we have been given by Animal Husbandry Ministry, when we reached them to consider our proposal, they said that, see, you are getting some credit, input credit. We are putting duty on the sale of your equipment. So you must see that whether you are getting benefited by giving you exemption or by putting a duty. So what we did that time, and we blindly went to them and we said, we want an exemption. And in principle, they said no issue because your equipment is used in dairy industry. We will give you exemption. But when we made a calculation, we found that if we go for exemption, we will incur a loss. So I'm sharing this example. So now the government is bringing these reforms in each and every sector, whether it's a dairy sector, solar sector, you take any sector where the exemption was there, and now they are bringing it to the tax net. Probably it is needed. It has happened in earlier days in most of the countries. So it is time for India also to introduce this. So that's a spirit behind this.
Yeah.
Now, the room which we have is that for each and every product, we should make a calculation because we have to convince them with a perspective of inverted duty thing. So we should make a calculation that how much GST we are making a credit, right? Whatever inputs we are buying, and how much we would be incurring if we go on these slabs. So what the government can do, this is my view, that government will reduce the limit. Maybe it may start even 1%. There's a debate going on in the government. There can be a special slab where there's no GST on the input material. Then it cannot be left under exemption category. So those equipments or goods or services will be under 1% GST. That way it is also going on. That may come maybe after a few months.
Yeah.
So that's my perspective.
Thank you. It's a good perspective to be looked into, I think. And must be
And another
considered.
thing,
Yeah.
we have a common platform idea under the leadership of Dr. Rajoria Saab. So we should make a common letter, which can be drafted, which can be the
Yes.
outcome of this meeting. And that letter should be signed by everybody, federations, unions, corporates, farmers, even consumers. Why not consumers?
Yeah. Great. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I could see Mr. BVK Reddy from Dodla also.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, please. Maybe have
Good
your
morning, sir.
comment.
Good morning to everyone.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the initiative taken by Dr. Rajoria sir and Mr. Kuldeep Sharma. And, see slowly now, as all products now are coming under tax regime, now except milk, slowly. Now, a couple of years back, no, butter, ghee was not there. Slowly, butter, ghee has come now. First started with ice cream, now Tetra Packs, SMP, everything has now come. Now, in my opinion, we should strongly protest, and we have to give collectively, GST Council, we have to give a memorandum signed by everybody. That is my suggestion, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Do we have someone from Madhusudan, SMC Foods? They were planning to come over here? Okay.
Yeah, hi, good morning. This is Akshay Agarwal. I'm representing Madhusudan.
Yes, please, Mr. Akshay.
Yeah, hi.
Would like to
Yeah.
have your views also. Yeah.
Yes. We would also strongly recommend that we oppose this recommendation of the GST Council. And to take it very simply, हम लोग इंडिया में ये बोलते हैं, we say that, buttermilk being, if you look at buttermilk, सिर्फ 30 रुपए लीटर में हम एक न्यूट्रिशियस और हेल्दी ड्रिंक पिलाते हैं सबको. And as against soft drink, wherein the youth of the country and the general public at large is consuming so much sugar, and here at just 30 rupees a liter we are offering a good, healthy and nutritious drink. And then again, imposing GST on that is something that we should all strongly oppose, because ultimately it is making the product costly for the end consumer. On one area we are saying that product should be healthy, and we have to promote a healthy and nutritious food for the people of the country, and on the other side we are imposing GST, which would ultimately make it more expensive. So I think we should strongly recommend that this should be opposed and this should be taken back. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Akshayji. Thank you very much.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. This is Damodar Naidu from Heritage Foods
Yes,
Limited, Hyderabad.
Yeah.
This is the time actually we should protest this strongly, and we should come to common platform. So we should protest this. Even post-independence, after 75 years, curd, buttermilk, lassi, we never expected it is taxed. So except milk, now everything is it is taxed. So now people also, even consumers also now preferring actually ready to eat foods, ready to drink foods, because in this busy life. So we should strongly protest this. Even in terms of input credit also, hardly we have calculated, we will be getting around 30% only, because main ingredient is milk. So that is the reason we have to strongly protest. 70% we have to pay. That we have to pass on to the consumers. There is no other option. So we should strongly protest this in the common platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I was observing someone from Creamline also, Jersey from South India.
Hi, good morning to all, sir.
Okay.
This is Ayodhya
Good
from
morning.
Dreamland Dairy, Hyderabad. Sir, we are also with you because of what some people have suggested. This is not good symptom for to bring the lassi and buttermilk. Curd is the taxable category. So this is very big hit to the dairy industry, and already the dairy industry is suffering with the flavored milk issue from last GST implementation onwards. So slowly that is diluted. Now the curd, lassi and buttermilk is the little bit costly issue to the hit to the dairy industry. So we are also with you for to participate, give the representation to the GST Council. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We have Mr. Aditya from ITC also. So maybe if you can share your comments also.
Yeah, hi. Good morning, everybody. I had just 2-3 observations in terms of, if you see the press release also, the segment in which this curd, lassi and buttermilk has been mentioned, that segment is talking about the branded and unbranded issue, which was prevalent in various other industries, which was creating a dichotomy, and government was losing revenue. People were taking undue benefit of that clause. So my observation was that why did they club it there? Because this particular issue of branded, unbranded was not there in curd and lassi. It was there in paneer, but paneer word has not been used there. So that was one observation. Whether it's a maybe just a drafting error, I don't know what is the interpretation or the thinking of the government by putting curd, lassi and buttermilk into that segment. So that was just one observation that I had with respect to this particular taxing curd, lassi and buttermilk at 5%. And obviously, I also voiced the same concerns with the entire industries having already were facing inflation. And I don't know, many of the players would not have been able to even pass on the inflation that we have been experiencing, the increase in the milk rates and other overheads, fuel, everything. And over and above that, now if you come up with 5%, it will obviously may coincide and have a much larger impact if the industry decides, if the government decides to do this, and then we have to pass on. And as sir was also mentioning, input credit can be a tricky issue in terms of how the government wants to look into 5% exact pass on, or is it net? I don't know how the government would like to have a.
We are able to tell them this is what the dairy industry would be using, this is what the consumer would be using.
No, sir, but I was saying that how one the government wants to look at theoretically and mathematically.
Government objective is, this is what I understand from the government, though I'm not in government, but I understand they are working. They have two objectives currently. One, they want to organize entire market.
Sure,
so it's a milk market and any market you take. And dairy market has clearly two segments, organized and unorganized. So they want to bring unorganized sector to the organized sector. And I think that can only be done once they impose any kind of taxation. Otherwise, it is impossible. So, sir, I think when you meet this government official, so you just clearly ask him that what's your objective? In fact, you can say that we are also fed up of unorganized market. So we want to help you, right? How to organize this?
Referring to your viewpoint.
Yes, sir.
There's some explanation given by GST Council to the press people. They have said that GST exemption has been withdrawn from pre-packaged and labeled. These are exempted.
Yes, sir.
Retail packs. But now they say that items which are sold loose or unlabeled shall continue to remain exempt. This is the explanation given by the GST Council. So therefore, I think this is an issue. Like earlier, paneer which was packaged was attracting GST.
Unpackaged. There. So if you have a label, you have a brand, but you relinquish your rights to that brand, then you are exempt. So those kind of things people were using to avoid tax also. So they were trying to curb those things, but in that same block, they have introduced curd lassi. But curd lassi, this issue was not there. Earlier it was not there.
There is one more thing. You have raised a valid point. pre-labeled, and there is branded.
Branded word now is not there.
Now the problem is, so a product unbranded but pre-packaged and pre-labeled were enjoying the exemption.
Correct. But curd lassi, irrespective was
Absolutely, it
exempt.
was not there, and
Was
that is what we are also looking deeply also, because what is happening over here, two terminologies are mixing together. Pre-packaged and pre-labeled are coming from the metrology. So it is coming from that side. So we are analyzing that also. But you have raised a very valid point. And now this branded and unbranded, this is another issue to be looked into. So you are absolutely right. Last time when it was there in exemption list, at that time curd and buttermilk was not there. But now it has suddenly come up. So from where it has come, that also to be seen. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
We are talking about mainly the unpacked paneer and the packed paneer. So unpacked paneer is a loose. So which is the unorganized sector. So better to have a demarcation between the packed paneer or organized sector or organized sector for the benefits of the consumer. They will know what is the good quality or bad quality. When they are going through the GST, naturally there will be also FSSAI Act will be applicable to them, and there will be some regulation. So I think that will be helpful to us also as an organized sector. There should be some maybe on this unorganized. Thanks.
Absolutely, sir.
I read in your the turnover of less than 40 lakhs already exempted from. So what's the point?
Yes.
Yeah. That basic exemption continues.
So basic exemption continues, and you have unorganized, 90% is unorganized, and what we are talking about. So how you are going to increase the tax? So it's basically inflationary. It will, and we will pass, all the companies will pass this to the consumers.
Yes. And it is happening.
And ultimate your effect is of the consumer.
Yeah.
So I think that's
No company is going to bear it. No organization is going to bear it. Ultimate your effect is on the customers. Yes.
See, Dr. Rajouri, if I add, you see, beside this proposed 5% GST, compliance is going to be the big issue, because right now milk, buttermilk, curd, etc. is going through one invoice. Then if you keep curd and buttermilk under GST, then you have to raise a separate tax invoice. And naturally, all these small distributors are going to be the compliance is going to be a problem. And like mentioned, actually, dairy industry is going through very difficult. One side, farmers are under pressure because cost of production has increased, feed cost has increased, the dry fodder and green fodder prices have increased. One side is that farmers are asking more price for the milk. Other side, processing costs, energy costs, logistic costs, packaging costs increased by 35 to 40%. And now this third thing of GST, these all three things you cannot pass on to the consumer together. So either farmer has to lose or the industry has to lose. So which is not healthy sign for the growth of the industry. The way Indian dairy industry is growing exceptionally well, 6%. I think such types of measures, keeping in mind the holistic picture of feed cost, processing, packaging, logistic cost, and this increased tax cost, it is going to put a lot of pressure on the Indian dairy industry, and the rate which is growing, it will reduce the growth rate of Indian dairy industry. I think in that perspective, if we put up our submission, it will be better.
The farmers, you say, are adversely affected. While we are all trying to make efforts to improve the hygienic condition of milk, the small farmers were buying milking machines for maybe 60,000 or 70,000 rupees. Now they have to pay higher price for that milking.
That is one issue, but you see, we are under pressure to increase the price of milk, which we are not able to do it.
Yeah. So now
because
the consumers
will not accept it.
Consumers will be severely affected. at one side, the government is spending a lot of money on nutritional security and, trying to supply pre-formed or prefabricated, vitamin mixes. On the other hand, we are trying to take away the nutrition. In fact, Kuldeep Sharma in his blog wrote that even today in many villages, buttermilk, which is surplus, is distributed free among the distressed communities. Now, this was one way, how to provide part of the nutritional security to the people who were not able to afford, milk or milk products. But in this case, when buttermilk perhaps is the cheapest source of nutrition in this country, sold even in the packaged form, you are depriving those people who are not able to purchase high cost products from the market. This is going to be a great burden, on the health, supply of the entire, the country of, and therefore, it's like having reversed trend towards the nutritional security.
Just one more point I would like to add.
Yeah.
In milk distribution business, if you look at the distribution side, most of the distributors who are dealing in milk, lassi, and buttermilk are generally financially weak. They are not strong distributors compared to people who are dealing in ghee and etc. Now, the moment you bring them under tax regime, first of all, it will be very difficult to handle the tax part itself. And many people, many distributors whose daily livelihood depends on distribution. I don't know how they will react to it. They might even give up this business. So their livelihood will be at, because I don't know, the same thing which happened during demonetization time, the GST was applied. A lot of small time players, I think, went out of it. So this is a very, very, important thing to be looked at, because milk distribution is totally unorganized in the sense that there's no taxation, because it's, they're small, like the volumes are maybe in Amul, maybe it is higher, but, generally, it's not much more than, but how they will react to this switching to tax regime is a very, very, pertinent point. Especially for small distributors who are handling 500 600 liters kind of volume, which is not big deal. I think this is something which needs to be, according to us, addressed. So these are the things needs to be looked at, because the moment you bring it, then now all distributors have to apply for GST first.
Yeah. Yes.
And how they will take input, I don't know. They are not at all learned and competent to really handle this GST. They don't even know basic mathematics. Okay, they will give up the business.
Yeah.
And then what will happen? Then what will happen? All this small time players business will go to big distributors. So that angle also has to be seen from the front end side. And of course, as that 40 lakhs thing, if 40 lakhs is something we are already exempted, then we say, why should I apply it for GST? So these are like very dichotomy is there. So the moment if it is 40 lakhs, it is possible to have 40 lakhs, but he was not dealing. Now he has to handle all this GST, has to apply for and get into all this calculations and take input tax. So I think these are the things which also needs to be seriously looked into it, because I think it's the livelihood of this distributor, small time distributor, depends on milk distribution.
I think this is also a good perspective as far as the livelihood is concerned.
The manufacturers have to pay, isn't it? And
so
then
Mr. Sodi was saying that now invoicing of milk and buttermilk, there was no tax. I have to apply GST.
Yes.
So if I have to apply GST, I have to ask the distributor, of course.
No, and no retailers will be covered under this. Because I think the small players,
accounting part also needs to be looked into.
You will have two options. You will have number one, up to 40 lakhs, no GST, then up to 1.5 crore, 8% standard GST as a trader.
Yeah.
But that there is a lot of complexity which needs to be resolved. So the point is, I think this is a good point to be included somewhere.
I'm not a tax expert, but I'm just saying from his livelihood point of view, he might say, let me get out of this business.
Yes, sir, please.
Thank you, sir. Apart from what all has been said, I agree with all that. Yeah. Yeah, I was in the Ministry of Agriculture and in the dairy division. I'm going back to that background. The dairy industry has always been discriminated as compared to the food processing industries. While in ministry also, we have been stressing many times that we should be treated at par with the food processing, the rest of the food. We are the first among the food processing industry. Milk is a food. And among the processed food, milk is the largest segment perhaps. Or at least we started first among the processed food industries. But we have been discriminated. Like in the machinery, in the excise and VAT days also, the dairy machinery, the machinery for milking animals, this has been taxed more than other machineries in the food processing industry. The IDA as well as ministry has been stressing that we should be given the same privileges as food processing industry is given, but we were not listened to probably. Maybe IDA, if it stresses more now, this thing can be done. Another thing is it is perhaps the lassi and charge and other things being tested. I feel there is a, extent of lobbying, because this product has replaced to a large extent the cold drinks market. And there's a lobbying by the cold drink manufacturers to tax this so that the consumption of these is curbed. I think that's a point, additional point, what has been said already. That lobbying, we have to also lobby. They may be doing it in their own way, and we have to do it in our own way. This is a replacement for the cold drink and a nutritious replacement. And that's a junk replacement. This is a nutritious. We are talking of nutrition security, etc. And we are curbing a nutritious drink in comparison to or against those cold drinks which are considered as junk food. Probably the government is then, in my opinion, encouraging the junk food and discouraging the nutritious food. That's an additional point I wanted to say. And we want parity with other food processing industries. This thing also. Thank you.
Just want to add, in fact, it could be data could be checked. A lot of laborers at site, all construction workers, all these people who can't afford, they consume buttermilk. It could be as high as 60 to 70%. So if you are even increasing 1 or 2 rupees, it's actually impacting the poor man. So it's again anti-poor.
Another thing what President has already said, that most of the buttermilk is distributed free or sold in the villages. How is the government going to manage it? It's only the organized sector which is being taxed. And organized sector, as Mr. Sode said, will not keep it with itself. It will pass on to the consumer. And consumer ultimately will suffer. That's, something very disturbing for us.
I think this, Mr. Narang, this lobbying part is very important, because with the recent, now on 1st July, this CPCB, it has also removed, the low cost water solution for the laborers also. So plastic pouches has been banned. Water under 200 ml has been banned. Then they are going for buttermilk in 5-10 rupees range. On that, GST has been imposed. So I could see, though we are not very sure, but yes, aspect of lobbying should also be somewhere highlighted in our representation. It's a very, very good idea. Yes, sir. I saw somebody from Confed also in it.
Good morning. I am Vishwajit Sinha, Accounts Officer from Compet. Sir, my small representation in this respect is, apart from whatever sirs already spoken about, my small representation is that we used to purchase raw materials for cattle feed, and that is the few ingredients of cattle feed is also taxed. For which the cost of production of the cattle feed goes up, and that ultimately that goes to the farmers, and ultimately that goes to the consumers. I mean, whenever the farmers purchases that cattle feed at a higher cost, because in some cases the few 12% taxes are imposed on the ingredients. So my small representation, if we can give some representation in this respect. The cattle feed cost can be, because we don't get any input tax benefit from that cattle feed itself. So that additional cost creates a price of the, hello, are you listening?
Yes,
sir?
please. Yes, please. We are hearing you.
The higher cost of cattle feed, the cost of cattle becomes higher. We can manage the cattle feed cost little lesser if we get some input tax benefit, and if that the tax on the ingredients are being withdrawn. So my small submission is that only. Thank you,
Will
sir.
it be possible for you to send the present percentage of GST on all ingredients that HomeFed is giving to the government?
Yes, I can give you, sir. I can give you.
Kindly send me the list.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So kind of you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes. Anybody from Hudson? Anybody from other state cooperative? Maybe from West, we haven't heard much. Anybody from West India? Western part of India?
Yeah, sir, this is Prasanna from Hudson here.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
Mr. Prasanna, please.
Yeah, we are also, against this move of putting GST on curd and buttermilk, etc. So I think we are with you and on putting up a note to the government objecting to this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Please send the copy of the note that you are sending to the government so that we can incorporate your views in our presentation.
No,
Prasanna
we are not sending a note, sir. We are with you to send a joint note or a letter to the government on behalf of the association.
Okay.
Thank you.
For lobbying, we can rope in the socio-religious organizations also. They, like Baba Ramdev and a company, because they are very effective. The social media and socio-religious organizations can lobby for this indigenous charch and lassi and curd. That will be effective way.
Sure.
There are different ways of lobbying. One of the very, important, friend of the industry. In fact, he has suggested that why don't you do some 1 or 2 days holiday, milk holiday, to put pressure on the government. But we have to think of the farmers' interest also. That if the industry goes on milk holiday, who will buy the produce of the farmer? So that, recommendation is not worth consideration. Some people said that we will come in, group of 400, 500, demonstrate before this or that. That also doesn't work.
Yeah.
The dairy industry, we have to follow some legal ways, persuade the government with the data that we have with regard to costing, nutrition, socio-economic imperatives that are going to influence our society. The farmers' issue is very important. Ultimately, if dairy industry, there could be a possibility that if consumers don't buy the products, will you export all the buttermilk to foreign countries? Are the importers ready for that? Not at all. Therefore, if there would be a fallback on the procurement side, it will be disastrous for the farmers' welfare. Who will take care of doubling the farmers' income in future? So these are, counterproductive measures, in our opinion, and we have to highlight these issues in the observations, recommendations. So this is a very good idea, and we value those who are doing good business, organized dairies. They have to assist this activity. You do not expect unorganized sector. And I don't see, we have invited all the members of the association, but none from the unorganized sector is here in the, offer online mode. And we, it's like cook the kheer for them so that they can eat it. So this is the kind of issue that, unorganized sector, they never participate in any of these activities. So it is only the organized sector which, suffers most with regard to the, the imposition of taxes or otherwise. Now we have got Bhadra sitting. You have an issue, you are a good.
बस किसी को सैटरडे करना चाहे कोई नॉमिनेट करना चाहे
Sir, there is no voice.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, now better.
Yeah. So somehow the organized player making the paneer in an unbranded form, we are able to compete with the paneer which is being sold in muslin cloth platform. But now that pre-packed paneer, whether branded or unbranded, both the things are branded, both the things are taxed. There is no way, they can compete with the muslin cloth packed paneer. So ultimately, this will result into a lot of adulteration, which is happening already. That is anyway, sir. That is going to put, ultimately, if I am selling something at 10 rupees, and if I want to say impose 5% GST on that, what I'll do, what Sodhi Sahab has rightly pointed out, either I'll reduce the farmer's price, because my, this is already in a very packed way. From farmer's price to the consumer price, if you look into the whole value chain, we are already under a lot of pressure. So either you increase the consumer price or you reduce the farmer's price. That is the only way, in both ways. Yes.
You can't reduce your farmer's price, because if you reduce the farmer's price, you will not get the milk. It will go somewhere else. It is the customer who has to bear with this thing. And the biggest thing this government is not thinking about it is what I feel it. The GST, they are increasing to get the revenues. But I find that many times import duty on some oils and this thing and that thing they are reducing. So they want to encourage them, outsiders, out of India, to send their products to India to sell it out. Because making the Indian companies and everybody really tough time for them. Recently, they have reduced the duty on palm oil to more than 50% of it. Why? उससे क्या रेवेन्यू नहीं आता क्या? इसी से रेवेन्यू आएगा. That is the biggest thing. Nobody is thinking about it. That is the biggest. This is the biggest thing. They have increasing just GST on every product. जिस पे 0 था उसपे भी 5% कर दिया. सब everything, everywhere. Milk will also be coming to this. Because lassi और जिसके ऊपर implement करते ही, that will come on milk also. Sure. So this is all I want to say. This is a big part is to be seen.
No, sir, absolutely right in that regard. But basically, their reason for reducing import duty on oil was very high food inflation. So they were just...
It was not high food, it was deliberately done. Oil, there is no shortage of any oil in India. It was deliberately done. It is traders who are playing with it.
So now I think we have just crossed the time which was meant for this meeting of an hour. I would just like, if suppose anybody is left whom we were unable to attend to, if somebody has to share their point of view, if we can do it, and then we will wrap up this meeting.
Mr. Kuldeep, may I?
Yes, please. Yes, please, sir.
Good morning, everybody. Sir, actually, I was listening everybody. I think it's a good meeting actually, where everybody is discussing right from the product cost, GST implications, how do we do the invoice, etc. And this is the right move, that we have to create a lobbying also. Actually, sir, I was just thinking that maybe it's a war between the multinationals selling their junk food and we are selling the healthy, nutritious product in our country to the poor man. That's an emotional thing. But in the lobbying, can we include the culture producers? Because fermented milk product, the basic ingredient is the culture. Now, if we do not buy the culture, then how these fermented milk products will be made? I think in our lobbying system also, like Tetra Pak, Cola, etc., they include these people. We should include the culture manufacturers also. It's my personal suggestion, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Kuldeepji, I have one more suggestion. While lobbying
Yes,
with the government, one thing could be we need to derive support of the other ministry, let's say agri ministry, that they are getting impacted, or animal husbandry, or cooperative ministry. Can we mobilize their support so that we have a strong case with GOM or GST Council? So
Yes,
the
so
farmers are
maybe
getting impacted.
the way I hear you is that it is not only, let's say, Ministry of Finance and Commerce whom we are going to write, but we must cover other ministries also in the loop somewhere.
Correct. You would have seen also whenever other lobby is happening, let's say Commerce Ministry is coming and helping some sector. So that's the way balancing happens in the ministry, GOM.
Yeah.
All the representations that we are sending to Finance Ministry or Commerce Ministry are passed through the Ministry of Fishery, Animal and Engineering.
Okay.
We request them to put their note on the proposals that the ID has been sending. This time also we will do it through the ministry.
बोलिए भैया, हमारा तो little knowledge में जो बोलना था.
Sir, one word thing I
हमको
would
जो
like
बोलना
to
था
add.
हम बोल ही दिए. हाँ?
Rajoria sir, if I can add something to this thing.
वाला बहुत बड़ा फैक्टर है, तो फैक्टर था तो बोल ही दिए, जितना सर बोलेंगे जो बोलना है बोल दीजिए. चलो ठीक है, खत्म हो जाए.
Rajoria sir, if you can add something to this thing, may I allow?
Yes, please.
Sir, ऐसा है कि I think lot has been said about the impact of this GST increase on the milk and milk products, especially the fresh milk products, either on consumers, or the impact is likely to be negative impact on the farmers' income. And what I have seen is we have been writing to the government of India through different means. Cooperative has been following up separately, private sector has been following up separately, industry sometimes is following up separately. It's not that they should not do it, but what I feel is if a common platform can be made, where representatives of maybe 3-4 representatives of the private sector, 3-4 representatives of the cooperative sector, and 3-4 representatives from the private sector under the chairmanship of the Dr. Rajoria, if they can form a committee, and the members of committee should be very active
They should be very proactive. They should go approach the government, do the lobbying part, and take the help of the rest of the members from both the side, cooperatives and the private side, wherever is required. And you see, lobbying has become a norm in our country also. Earlier it was considered was a bad thing. Now it is becoming a very prominent thing in most part of the our walk of life. I think we should also look into this thing, how we can do it so that we can pressurize the government. We can influence the thinking of the decision makers. Yes, the dairy industry is something which is doing, it's not doing only for the as a business, but it is it is handling the livelihood of the very grassroots level milk producers. And I think that's how we should go ahead with that and put up our case. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, somebody from here. Yeah.
I want to add one more thing. Yeah, GST, I myself, Ranjit from Goma Engineering. So the government has increases the GST on dairy equipment from 12% to 18%. So we should also highlight this things in the meeting.
It is there. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Anybody else from the group? Sir. Maybe, sir, if you want to. Sir, so I think it was a wonderful session. We have captured thoughts from most of the stakeholders from all parts of the country, north, south, east, west. At the end, there are 3-4 things to be looked into. So first thing is creating a representation on behalf of all the players, be it from cooperative, be it from private sector. The second important point to be seen is that this time, as somebody has suggested, that probably the signature of everyone must be there. I don't think so that practically it will be possible. But somewhere I think we can take the liberty of writing this thing. President IDA can take the liberty of writing this thing that on behalf of, and we can at least put the list together, the members who have attended this meeting. The third thing is that we shall be preparing it as early as possible, because notification is not yet out, and we really do not know in the sense once our notification is out, after then how the government is going to react to it. So we have to act very fast. Somebody has used the right word, proactively. We will have to do it, and for that maybe latest by tomorrow, I think. कोई नहीं, चलिए देखते हैं, because it has to be implemented from 18. So but capturing everything, sir, when we will be in a position to release or prepare this particular letter? Can we do it by tomorrow? 2 days. So maybe by tomorrow we will prepare this letter and we will share it with all the members. And if we can hear from you, so maybe latest by Friday, we will be in a position to submit it to the ministry. We will have to act very fast on it. So my request is, once you receive it, immediately you share your comment, if any. Otherwise, we'll be sending it to the ministry. Is that all, sir? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Sir,
and now,
thank
Dr.
you, sir.
Rajoria, may please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we have had an opportunity to discuss most of the issues that Indian Dairy Association has addressed in its letter. All the inputs that we have received are the inputs of people with wisdom, those who know the trade, those who know the problems of the farmers. So these issues we shall write in the representation that we will be formulating in next 2 days. But any one of you who have missed out any important, you may kindly send email to ID headquarters so that we can also incorporate those views. Ultimately, all of us have to be united in the interest of farmer, in the interest of dairy industry, and in the interest of the consumers. That's the reason why we thought we shall convene this meeting. And on behalf of the Indian Dairy Association Executive Committee, I wish to acknowledge your help and assistance and guidance during this meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for your initiatives. And I hope we'll go in a very fast way, but be active and do something. If required, lobbying can be done also to make sure that we get some good results. Thank you, President, for organizing this very important meeting, very short meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms.
Thanks
Dr.
to
Rajoria.
President IDA for
and other
organizing
friends.
this and bringing us all together here. Thanks, Ankur sir.
Yeah, I
Thank you, Mr.
think
Kuldeep.
you, all of you deserve thanks, not me, because I'm only a carrier of your views. And I will, transmit these views in good words to the government concerned departments. And we'll also publish these recommendations of today's meeting in the forthcoming issue of Indian Dairymen for wide publicity. And we will be sending, quite a few of, developments have been witnessed during last 2-3 days. IDA also has been highlighted by the press. And most of our friends from, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, they have written me separately their, views on this subject. And Kerala, Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation, they also have sent a letter in which they have appreciated the efforts of Indian Dairy Association past for, what we have been requesting the government to reduce the GST on butter and ghee, and also this issue that we have discussed today. So thank you very much. Now we take the liberty of requesting all of you to send your views if you have left out anyone, and then we will incorporate that. Thank you very much. Now the meeting stands, closed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sir. Thank you, Kuldeep sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.